this tutorial, I will be showing you all how to make hats on a long loom. You will need 2 different colors of yarn, a purple or pink hook, a pair of scissors, and a long loom. To begin, I'm going to go ahead and just make a slip knot using my yarn. I'm going to be placing this slip knot on the edge of one of my central knobs, and then I'm just going to go ahead and begin by E-wrapping around the entire loom. This will be different from standard like double knitting on a long loom because you're kind of going to be using this loom as a round loom instead of as a long loom. Once I've done that, I'm just going to go ahead and take my fingers and push those loops down to the bottom of the peg. If your fingers are thicker than mine, you may need to find a different method for pushing those loops down to the bottom. I suggest using your purple hook and laying it across each row of pegs and kind of using it just to push them down like so. Then I'm just going to go ahead and take the bottom loops on my pegs and pull them over the top. Doing the end pegs for any kind of step in this process will be a little bit more awkward since there's only one peg on that side of the loom, if that makes sense. Alright, so once again I'm just taking those loops and putting them down to the bottom of my peg. Alright, once again, I'm just going to go ahead and E-wrap around the entire spot of my loom. You may notice that I'm starting by each row, or where I started it, was at that central knob. That's where I recommend starting it because it's close to that central knob, so it's going to be easy for your yarn to attach there via slip knot. Alright. Once again, I'm going to just take those bottom loops and put them over the top. Now I've gone ahead and done this for about 12 more rows, so I've just been knitting for, 14 rows now. If you're working on a round loom, I would suggest doing it for 12 rows, but now I'm going to be doing it for 14 rows. And as you saw, I just took my slip knot off of that central knob. The reason for the 2 extra rows is because this loom actually has 26 pegs versus the round looms only have 24 pegs. So because of that extra width, you want to make it a little bit longer. You can see I've just gone ahead and taken my brim up through the loom. This will be kind of weird because this loom is so narrow, but it's really what's best for making this brim. So I'm just tying my yarn to the central knob, and then just like I would make a normal brim, I'm going to take the first stitches, I should say, of that first row and put them to their corresponding peg on the loom. You want to make sure that you get those 2 end pegs on there because if those are somehow off, it will affect the brim and it'll make it look kind of weird because it'll be out of funk. So make sure you line up each one accordingly, and it's easy to do this by just matching up that end strand with the central knob, if that makes sense. Once again, I'm going really fast through the making of this hat. If this is your first time making a hat, I would suggest checking out my video, which I will link here and below, about how to make a loom on a round loom. There I go into more detail exactly how to do this, but in this video I'm basically just going to be showing you all modifications from the long loom to the round loom and vice versa. Now I'm just going ahead and cutting a small bit of yarn off, and then I'm going to be tying on my second color of yarn. If you just want to continue with your first color, that's fine. You don't have to cut anything off, you can just do that. But I'm at the end of the row, I just finished my brim. I'm going to go ahead and switch colors so that for the hat portion, I will have a new color to work with. Alright, so I'm just going ahead and just like I was with that other color, I'm going to be E-wrapping across the entire loom. I'm just taking the same bottom loops, putting them over the top. For the first few rows, after you've done the brim, it may be a little bit tighter or weird. That's just because you've switched colors. Also, you may notice I'm going to have another strand of yarn hanging, which is just going to be awkward. Alright, so I've gone ahead and knitted 16 more rows. Now, with a normal round loom, I would only knit 14 rows for the hat, but since this is a long loom, it is going to be a little wider. I'm knitting 16 rows. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut my yarn at about 2 feet. Alright, so using my purple hook, I'm going to take the hat off of the loom. Let me show you in close exactly what I'm doing. All I'm doing is basically looping my hook through the working yarn, pulling the strand of yarn over the loop on the peg. I hope that makes sense. This is exactly like you would be do for a purl stitch. And it's just the same kind of technique that I use with that round loom. I also, if this doesn't make sense to you, just go ahead and thread your yarn into a large eyed needle and then take it off that way. That may be a little bit simpler for you, but this way I find more efficient because I don't have to use that needle. Okay, once again, for the end peg, it's the same way as the other peg. I'm just showing you so you get a sense of what it looks like. Those end pegs are kind of weird to work with. I don't really like those. Notice I'm not really cinching up the hat as I go along like I would with a round loom. It's just so hard to do because this loom is so narrow. So I wouldn't recommend really cinching up the hat until you entirely take it off of the loom. So I've gone ahead and done that now. So what I'm just going to do is just tie a knot simply using my yarn. This will make sure that the hat doesn't unravel or fall apart at any time. So this is a hat I made with a 24 pegged round loom. This is a hat I made with a 26 pegged loom. Now you can kind of see the difference with width and height in both of these, and it's really exaggerated by me doing this. You can see how much wider that second hat really is. Now on this hat, I really should have made it longer and even gone to 18 rows for the hat portion. That'll accommodate a bigger size baby. So these are for bigger babies. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out our videos. I will have a new video up every Friday. Thanks for watching and have an awesome day. Bye.